Love you.
I see that you have a lollipop. Is that a weed lollipop? I'm just curious.
I wish it was, but no, this is just regular candy.
Okay. I just want to know what you're consuming on the air. So,
No, I'm eating candy at 11 in the morning, but it says smart sweets on the package, so that makes me think that it's healthy.
smart. There's nothing. I hate shit like that where it's like, yeah, here's like garbage food, but this is healthy garbage food. It's just
Yeah.
garbage. Like, quit pretending.
I never would have bought it myself. Tyler bought it because for me, it's like if I want candy, I'm gonna get myself Sour Patch Kids or a fucking Blow Pop or like whatever. But these are actually really good. So
And you know that I'm like very health conscious and very like easily influenced by any kind of like health related trend or information. And I, on my little vacation, was reading a thread on Twitter, and it was like this comparison of the kinds of food additives and like food laws in Europe compared to in America.
it's insane. Makeup too, and
Haunted
skincare
me.
products. There's a website where you can check American skincare products against like EU standards, and I like do it all the time just to make sure because I have really sensitive skin, and they put crazy shit in there.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, there's so many chemicals that America allows into its food supply that in Europe are totally verboten. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
why are we letting yellow number 5? Like my kids were eating M&Ms. I like grabbed the box and looked at it, and sure enough, yellow number 5 is in it. And
blue
carrot.
dye. It passes the blood-brain barrier and dyes your brain blue momentarily. That's a fact.
All right, I'm over it. I'm just gonna move to Europe. I can't do this shit.
I'm like, give me more microplastics, give me more food dye. I'm gonna die anyways. Let's get all the good shit while I still can.
I'm not. I want to be pure.
Pure.
Well, but I think like you get to a point. This is the thing. You want to achieve some kind of balance. I think you can get to a point where you're just ridiculous, and you are like scared of the world. You're not
Yeah,
willing to like because then I was thinking, oh, like when I go swimming, am I swimming in chlorine? Is chlorine okay? Am
chlorine's
I?
fine.
I mean, right? You'd think
And
it
it's like
would
you're
be.
swimming one time. You're not like out here swimming 24 hours a day or something like that. Like you're like swimming one time in chlorine. If it was bleach in the pool, you'd probably be fine for a day.
You would think, but I think like I do think people who get really wrapped up in purity and health can go down that rabbit hole, and suddenly it's like I'm not doing anything. I won't eat
Yeah.
anything unless it's like right out of the earth in my organic garden. You know,
It's like Kourtney Kardashian is kind of getting there. She started out pretty reasonable, like, okay, let's like get chemicals out of baby food and baby formula. And now she's like, my child can only have wooden toys and like gets angry at her family for having like ceramic pans and shit like that.
what's wrong with ceramic?
Fuck if I know. She thinks something's wrong with like everything.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Eventually, it becomes like something is wrong with everything except for like
Becomes
a
like a paranoia, like a disease.
yeah. So it's like
That
where's
kind
the
of stress has to be bad for you.
that's what I would say. But I think there is a line between being like really well informed and smart versus like tipping into paranoia. At some point, like there's really no way to live in the world and to completely avoid like toxification, I think is the deal.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've told myself. Like, joy is rare. You should get it where you can. And if that means you have, your brain dyed blue one time because I wanted this lollipop this morning, then so be it.
Is there blue dye? Is there blue dye in that lollipop that you're eating?
I mean, I assume it looks blue, right?
So your
I guess
brain
it
is
could be
your
like
brain is blue right
natural.
now. Your brain is turned blue.
Well, it's smart sweets. So that means that my blue brain will be extra smart.
Yeah. Well, actually, if it's Smart Sweets, maybe they don't have that shit in there. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I feel like maybe that's the thing about it's why they're smart. Maybe they put better dye in it. I don't know.
All right. Well, I think we're going to start today by talking about, I think, the biggest news story of the week, probably in the media, because it's this week is the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. This is not, as we repeatedly say, a political show, but I think that politics and celebrity intermingle, maybe especially so at these conventions, and maybe especially so at the Democratic National Convention,
Especially
because
so with this election, I think.
yeah, I mean, yeah, if it was Biden, I don't think the celebrities would be as excited about it. But Kamala has some like star power, right? And she's
She's
younger.
kind of centering her campaign around music and young people in a way that seems really intentional. Like she's got someone on her team who's driving that.
I gotta say, the Beyonce song that she uses as her campaign theme song, I like it quite a bit. It's a good
It's
pick.
good. Yeah,
It's
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 good.
it's really good, and I think that it gets people excited. And you know, one of the funniest things is to think about that song, and then to think about this fucking song that Trump uses, which is so
What song did he
geriatric.
use?
And I'm proud to be an
An American,
American, where at
where at
least
least I know I'm free.
just the most like jingoistic, like geriatric, like awful, like it's just an awful song. And to see all those MAGA people singing it, it's just like, what is going on?
I liked Bernie's song. It was like, the union makes us strong. You know that one?
Yeah, Bernie was like geriatric, but in that like, kind of, what's the guy
Like your
who,
Jewish grandpa who you like, even though he's grumpy, he's still funny.
yeah, what's the predecessor to Bernie in the early 20th century who ran on the socialist ticket from prison? What
Oh,
was
McGovern?
No, well, McGovern was more progressive, but there was a guy in the 1920s who,
Oh,
and I'm
I'm
totally
never gonna
blanking
know
on,
this.
yeah,
I
but
cheated my way through history in high school.
Woody Guthrie music. It's like that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, speaking of music and pop culture and politics, there was a story that caught my eye where Donald Trump, who has been, I think, increasingly unhinged and insane since the switch from Biden to Kamala, like this seems to really,
Like
and
unhinged in a new way. Like normally he's unhinged in a way where you're like, that's really funny. Like, okay, like Meatball Ron was really funny. Like that just is. And it is unhinged. But he's unhinged in a way now where he's almost lost the sauce. Like laughing Kamala is not it's not the best nickname.
I think he's like a rerun, and it's just that he's trying to play the hits, and it's just old and boring. And I think that really is the critique that makes sense to me, is that like he's becoming boring, and that is a fatal flaw for a con man.
God, I
Like,
hope so. Yeah, that's like it's for him. If he became boring, he'd be totally fucked. I really hope that people do find him boring at this point.
well, I think it's that. I think he is getting boring to some or to most of us, or at least a majority of people. And the other thing is that I think he's old, and I'm not sure. I think he has early dementia signs,
Oh
and
yeah,
so I think like I saw some statistic online comparing his 2016 and his 2020 campaign schedules to this year, and he's doing like a quarter the amount of rallies. Like
yeah,
he can't, that's a big advantage for Kamala. He can't get out there, and maybe he will
yeah.
this fall, but like so far he's been pretty lazy.
Yeah, I wonder, like, he hasn't had the rallies, like, because he could still, I think, fill up a rally, but he just hasn't been having the rallies as much. And I kind of assume maybe it was because he was like afraid because he got shot, but like even before then,
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, that's a good point too. I think the fact that there was this assassination attempt, uh,
like I think some were canceled even, like some rallies, and now he's behind bulletproof glass. Oh my God, the story that we didn't include here that we need to discuss is Barron Trump. Don't let me forget that.
okay, yeah,
That's
we'll we'll
important.
we'll we'll add that as an addendum to this little
Mhm.
political opener. But I do think that maybe the mental health of Trump could be affected by that near
Trump's
shooting.
mental health. Has he ever had a healthy mental state?
No,
I
but
don't.
I'm just saying
Trump's
that
mental
like,
health seems like a oxymoron or something.
yeah, he's like he's been mentally ill from the cradle. But like I
Mhm.
think that all of the things that we're talking about, like the senility, the declining physical health, all of his narcissistic personality disorder, and just all the stuff that comes with Donald Trump, and then you take this near shooting that might have like accelerated or exacerbated underlying conditions in ways that
Yeah,
maybe we're not fully acknowledging in the media. But
yeah, some PTSD kind of situation with that. I'm sure. Like, who knows
right,
how that affects him, and I'm sure he doesn't want to talk about how it affects him because that's like not manly or whatever. But
he
like,
would I don't think he would have any idea. I don't think he has that kind of self-awareness of like his own like I don't
mm-mm,
think self-care and
clearly
like mental health, it doesn't even register for him. He's always
not.
just like,
No,
I'm
mental health
right.
is gay. That's what he thinks.
Yeah. But anyway, he has been, I think, lately just on like one of those tears on social media where he's just like aggrieved and strange and
And
like,
again, normally those can be really funny, and this one wasn't funny.
no, I
Like,
mean,
I hate Trump, don't get me wrong, I think he's a terrible person, I wish the absolute worst for him, but, like, I think we can all admit that, like, sometimes he's really fucking funny, and he just hasn't been.
yeah, unintentionally. Like he's not
Yeah, yeah.
cracking jokes. He's not like he doesn't even
Well,
laugh.
I mean, he doesn't laugh, but I do think that he like can queen out with the best of them. Like, I think if you put him at a table with like Joan Rivers, like fucking RuPaul, like anybody who can like really queen out, like Trump would be the head bitch in charge at that table. Like in his younger years, like I think that's he was a New York socialite in a real way, and I think that's where he gets his like funny, charming thing that people like about him. I guess.
Well, like the insult comedy kind of thing.
Exactly.
Well, he posted on his social media, I guess it was Truth Social, like kind of like what this fake AI posting about how Taylor Swift was endorsing him and Swifties were rallying to his cause. Like this, it's kind of delusional and
It was
sad.
very obviously AI too. Like really, like there's I don't he didn't like mistake it for a real endorsement. There's 0% chance of that happening, which means they generated an AI photo to say she endorsed him. How is that good strategy?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And it's also just like not going to happen. Like Taylor Swift is sort of
Yeah, of
on the
course not.
record. She's on the record as being like not a Trump person.
In a big way. She said he was a white supremacist and all of that stuff. Like she really hates him.
Okay. So he, but I mean, like the fact that he would do that, couldn't she sue him for like defamation or something? Or like,
Well, the AI laws are confusing and still being made in terms of like what you can do with a person's face, but I think she could probably sue him for defamation just for like saying that she endorsed him when she didn't.
yeah,
She's
and
not
he's like,
going to though, because I don't think she wants to get involved.
well, Isaac Hayes, the estate of Isaac Hayes, I know is he's a
My
musician that
brother was named after him. Did you know that?
I do not know that.
My brother is named Isaac Hayes Dukowski after Isaac Hayes. And when he was a tiny baby, his mom went to the front row of a Isaac Hayes concert and lifted him up and said, "I named my son after you." And Isaac Hayes picked up my brother and kissed him on the forehead and then handed him back to his mom.
Well, his family is suing Trump for using Isaac Hayes' music at his rallies without
Oh yeah,
permission.
as they
So,
should.
yeah, I mean, if I were a musician and he started using my songs, I would take umbrage for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, that's an easily winnable case. He can't be using that shit without your permission.
You would think. I mean, they just settle out of court and he has to pay him something. But so anyway, there's this AI. And like, by the way, I've been seeing stuff on AI. Some of it, like a lot of it's really bad. It's like noticeably not the people that it purports to be. Like the likenesses
Yeah.
are not really great.
It's
But there was,
uncanny and weird. Yeah.
yeah, but weird, but like also it gets funny in some ways. Like there was this video that was going around on Twitter that had, I don't know if you saw this, where like Trump and Kamala were like in love and were like totally making out. And
Yeah.
then Kamala gets pregnant and like Trump is rubbing her belly and then she's holding like a little baby Trump. I mean, like it's
I've
so
seen
over
that
the top.
with Trump and with Elon Musk pregnant. Like I've seen that with like so many, like I've seen with like Jordan Peterson pregnant. Like it just like the pregnant ones are so fucking funny.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's like, okay, if we're going to use AI to do funny shit like that, I'm all on, I'm on board. I think when it maybe gets indistinguishable from reality and you have so many, people out there who don't pay attention or who are maybe not the sharpest knives in the drawer, it can get disruptive and
I mean, it's already,
problematic.
happened, I think, to a certain degree, like not to a disastrous degree, maybe, but to a certain degree. I mean, I think like the revenge porn laws will probably like be very confusing in terms of AI and how it applies to like AI generated revenge porn. That's definitely something that like people don't know what the fuck's going to happen. But
Oh
they're
my God.
actively debating it right now.
Yeah. That's like, I hope there are good lawyers and politicians who know how to litigate all that stuff. And it's going to
It's
be a,
confusing too, because it's like, what if you make a piece of AI art that's art? Does that count for like not parody law, but like creative reinterpretation so that it's not part of like a copyright or like what, like who knows? It's
I
confusing.
mean, it gets crazy when you think about entertainment and AI and how when the AI gets more sophisticated, which I think it will in pretty short order. Like that's just my guess is that these things accelerate and there's profit motive, so people are going to
Yeah.
want to make it better. And when it gets to the point where you could just like type in a paragraph of the kind of movie you would like to see, like you describe the plot and then there's going to be like an AI movie that gets spit out and you can just watch your own movie. That's what I think is coming.
The thing I feel about AI and like making movies is like, well, first of all, the studios are not confident that AI can make movies. Otherwise, they would have given the writers a less good deal during the writer's strike. Because that was kind of the thing, was like, we can have AI make scripts, and writers were like, bet, and went on strike, and they're like, okay, we can't have AI make scripts. My feeling is that AI could get good enough to make a script for like a Marvel movie, like a bad movie, for like a shitty movie that kind of doesn't make sense and maybe has a lot of action or something, but it could never write like Magnolia, you know?
I mean, but you could write your own script and just put it into AI and then
But then
watch.
you're writing your own script and you're just using a program to help you edit it.
But I think that's kind of what people are going to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it could be, I mean, there's going to be varying levels of sophistication, but I think
Yeah.
that's kind of where it's going to go. And then,
Which is not a bad thing, I don't think. If they're using something like ChatGPT to get like ideas for a script that they then write themselves, I see no problem with that.
so Trump, posted one of these like bad AI images of Swifties supporting him, which is total bullshit.
Yeah, of
And
course.
there has been speculation. I don't know if it's based in anything, but just like kind of
It's
open
not.
speculation whether or not Kamala is going to get like major celebrity endorsements at the DNC. And I should say we are recording this on Tuesday. So night one has happened. There are now 3 more nights to go. If a Taylor Swift or a Beyonce were to make an appearance somehow at the DNC and endorse Kamala, it seems like it would happen on Thursday night
Hmm.
before Kamala goes on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so, definitely.
And what do you think? Like, what are the odds that she gets a Beyonce or a Taylor Swift endorsement?
I think the Beyonce odds are pretty high. I think it's the odds of Beyonce at least like showing up to the DNC are pretty high actually. Like Beyonce gave her that song. Beyonce's been like really behind her, donating money. I think I I'm not 100%, but I feel like they're probably planning something involving Beyonce at the DNC. Like that's a good get, and she's like really pro Kamala. Um, that's like, I think it's a good chance for Beyonce. Taylor, I think there's almost no chance. I think she'll say go vote and that's it.
That's such bullshit.
Well, here's the thing about Taylor Swift that she admits herself. She's nothing if not petty. She's the pettiest bitch alive. She will hold a grudge. She will never forget it. She does not forgive and forget. She doesn't forgive and she remembers. And her and Charlie XCX, like I've mentioned, have had like a really long feud for a long time. The album Brat.
Wait, what? I don't know this.
Well, okay, so what's the short version? Charlie XCX opened for Taylor Swift at the Reputation tour. She then kind of like went to the media and was like, I'm sick of like playing for like little kids every night, which was like really bitchy because she was like barely an act. And then Taylor like made her famous, essentially bringing her on the Reputation tour. And then there was like, stuff that wasn't really in the news that like, like I heard from the reliable friend that like Charlie and Camila Cabello like went to a party at Taylor's house and then hid in a room doing cocaine the whole time. And Taylor was like, what the fuck? And kicked them out because I think at the time it was like, I can't be known as somebody who has people doing cocaine in my house. Like, that's not chill. And then in Brat, the album, there's a lot of lyrics that are very clearly about Taylor Swift and very, very mean. And Kamala has, they've organized their entire campaign around like Brat Summer, whatever the fuck that means. And
But
Taylor is not
Kamala,
in it.
that was incidental. Kamala didn't pursue that. That just sort of happened.
Doesn't matter. Taylor doesn't want to associate herself publicly with Charlie XCX. And when she doesn't want to associate herself publicly with somebody, she does not.
Yeah,
I think they made their own bed with that.
I had a conversation just yesterday. I was texting with a friend of mine. It's a guy, and he was bemoaning. He was talking about how he's scared he is of Taylor Swift fans.
Why? They're like little girls. People need to calm down.
Wait, I want to read it to you.
Like, oh no, what if young women have power? What are we going to do? What if they gather in a big group and sing songs? We're in danger.
He says, "I am actually scared of her fans. You
Good.
can't speak poorly of her. It's dangerous to have a negative Taylor Swift opinion, like walking into the hood wearing a Confederate flag." I mean, like,
Okay, well, I shouldn't be saying the hood, first of all. That's not great.
yeah.
Second of all, good. I'm glad he's afraid of Taylor Swift fans. People who say that shit should be afraid.
With art, the debate stops very quickly because it is all subjective. Taylor is a fraud and a capitalist ghoul. He's very progressive. You would like his politics, but he
I
thinks
agree that Taylor Swift is a capitalist ghoul. Absolutely, 100% she is.
she leeches money from her fans
Yes.
like an HVAC system and
Yes.
manipulates the Billboard charts.
Yes. All
And
correct.
she can't dance or sing. She's
No.
boring and has no opinions.
No.
At which
She
point I said,
can
"Look,
sing and she can dance.
at which point I said, "Look, man, I'm a deadhead." And he said, "A glass of spoiled milk. It's just gross that she is this huge. Look at Madonna.
Gross?
Look at
Why is
Madonna.
it gross?
Hey, I'm just reading.
That's genuinely your friend is being offensive. Because people see young women at a concert having a great time. It becomes a worldwide phenomenon. And he goes, it's dangerous. Dangerous how? What is dangerous about everyone going to the Eras tour and singing a song together? Why is Taylor Swift, what did he call her, disgusting or
Wait,
something?
did he? He didn't say it's dangerous.
He said he was afraid of them.
Oh, he's afraid. Yeah, he's afraid.
What is he afraid of? Like, what has he ever said a Taylor Swift opinion and then like gotten attacked?
I just think he
Like, the
observes
worst
it.
case scenario is that you say a bad Taylor Swift opinion and a bunch of Swifties are in your replies disagreeing with you. Like,
Yeah.
literally turn off your phone, literally close your eyes. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but I mean, if Taylor does signal to her army that somebody is deserving of their ire, that she has a lot of power to unleash.
Yeah,
Not
and
that,
they might be deserving of your ire if she does that. I mean, she's never done that for anybody besides like fucking Scooter Braun, and like
there,
he deserved it.
there is a cult of personality around her a bit, like to a
But there's
degree.
a cult of personality around Kamala Harris.
Well,
And she's a politician. That's different. A cult of personality around somebody who is a personality in pop culture is normal. Taylor Swift is a personality. A
yeah.
cult of personality around a politician is incorrect. Politicians are janitors. They're people who work for us. They're people you shouldn't respect. They're people that you should demand things from.
The
Taylor Swift is just a personality, and that's fine.
I think there's more of a cult of personality like around Trump. I think like
Well,
the Trump
definitely, yeah.
I think the Trump fandom and the Taylor Swift fandom are actually more similar. Like the people
Because the
who
Taylor Swift fandom like wants all black people to die in
no,
like
no, no, not in that way.
you're anti-abortion.
no, it's just like the level of intense loyalty is what I'm talking about. Like there's an
I could say,
intensity.
okay, you are a Grateful Dead fan, Brad.
No, but that you know
People
what?
follow them on tour.
No, but that actually would be a comparison too. Like I think
Yeah.
it's similar, you know. I
But
think it's
would your
similar.
friend say that he's scared if he went to a Grateful Dead tour and saw the fandom and was like, wow, this is huge? I don't think he would.
I'm just reading what he said.
I,
Look at
I know it's not your fault. It's your
no.
friend's fault. But
He
like,
says
let's think
look at
about it.
Madonna. He says look at Madonna's career, for example. By no means a perfect person, but deeply respected in the industry, and she continues to carve out a space for herself.
Is Taylor Swift not doing exactly that? Like,
Well,
even if you don't like her music, she's carving out a space for herself and she's working hard and she's successful.
I said, and this you will like this. I said Taylor is a very gifted pop songwriter, as I've said to you many times. And he says maybe. He says her whole career was propped up. I don't know what that
By
means.
what?
I'm
Like,
just not.
okay, the thing that bothers me about dudes like this, you could just say, I don't like Taylor Swift's music. That's fine. He doesn't have to like Taylor Swift's music. Even Swifties would be like, that's okay. Whatever. Don't make it your whole personality. I'm scared of Swifties. She's starting a whole like what is like what is it? Why is she dangerous? Why is it like so offensive to him? Why doesn't he get mad at like Ariana Grande? She has music that sucks. So why doesn't he get mad at Nicki Minaj? She's married to a fucking pedophile. Like like
He
what has Taylor
says
Swift really done
he
besides be
said
like a beautiful girl who makes great music and is incredibly successful?
her music hasn't really grown. He says she's made some undeniably catchy pop tracks. I just don't see any growth.
What
Her
the fuck is he talking about?
her music is getting worse, and the circus is a living nightmare.
I
Gaga, on the other hand, is a living legend. Adele is respected everywhere.
This man would get jumped in a gay bar. If he walked to the Abbey, they would clock him instantly and be like, you get the fuck out of here. You're no longer welcome in West Hollywood. Like, this is the kind, like, people cannot like Taylor Swift. That's fine. I truly don't care. Like, you don't like her music, you're not into it, you don't like her, whatever. People who make it their personality to not like Taylor Swift are annoying and suck. And frankly, I'm sure your friend is a very nice guy,
He
but
is.
like he is falling prey to really common misogynist tropes about music and art that young women like. He's saying because young women like this, it's stupid. She's never grown. She's a capitalist. It's a fraud. They're doing something crazy. They're in a cult because young women like it. He's not saying this about a male act ever.
Well, but no, but he's saying, like, I mean, lots of young women like Lady Gaga and Adele. He likes those guys. He just
What
thinks
does
they're
he feel
better.
about their fandom?
I think he has no problem with it. It would be my interpretation, but he's
Why does he
he,
feel that Lady Gaga, who does not write her own music, is somehow more of a legend and more of an icon than Taylor Swift? Madonna,
listen.
who also doesn't write her own music.
She's a culture, he
Katy Perry,
says.
who also doesn't write her own music.
She's a culture, he says, an identity.
Taylor Swift is a culture and identity, and he just said he was afraid of that.
He said, and it's like, and there's so many kids at these concerts. It's for kids. He says
Yeah,
we need to teach these kids to explore art that makes them uncomfortable. And then
they're kids.
I then said, that's why I'm taking my kids to a Robert Mapplethorpe exhibit this weekend. And
Like,
he says not super familiar with his work. And I say, I was joking. Google it.
yeah, not super. Like, this guy doesn't understand what he's talking about even a little bit, and it's coming from unexamined, internalized misogyny and sexism. Like, it's just not. He's like, I would love to have a conversation with this guy because I'll bet he's a nice guy, but he's falling prey to really dumb ideas.
Wow.
And
All
again,
right.
it's fine to not like Taylor Swift. I don't. It's fine to call her a capitalist. Fine to call her a leech. Those things are all true. But like,
But it is, I mean, it is like an intense fan base, like to a
yeah,
degree that distinguishes itself.
absolutely.
Um,
But what's wrong with women, all young women, all forming a group together to become more powerful? Why is
yeah.
that bad?
No, I mean, I have no problem with that. I think it's
Yeah.
like, I think it's just like, this is the stuff. This is what I hate about these kinds of conversations is that it really just comes down to taste. Like, do you like how
Yeah,
it sound?
exactly.
Do you like how it sounds? Good. Enjoy it.
Right.
Life
Have
is
a fun
short.
time. That's
Yeah.
great. Like, I don't love the
Yeah.
Grateful Dead, but I love that you love the Grateful Dead. I
Yeah.
love when people have a great time at concerts.
I just think that I want to see the Swifties start doing a lot of drugs. And like, that's the problem is that like, you go to these
Here's the thing.
concerts.
They are doing a lot of drugs.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. They're
Not
not
like the,
talking about it. But the
oh,
older Swifties, the Swifties my age, they're doing a lot of drugs. The rest of them are too young.
I want Taylor to start doing drugs. And
Taylor
then
does do drugs. I have you seen her at the VMA? She was more coked out than anybody I've ever seen in my life.
I need her. I want her on lots of psychedelics, and I want her to make a psychedelic album. And then I want to
That
see.
was Midnight's.
That was Midnight's.
Yeah, I feel like Midnight's was her weed like acid album.
All right, I'll have to listen to it again, but I got no problem with it. I think it's a phenomenon. I don't fully understand it. It like I think the thing that you said to me once that made it make the most sense was where we were just like, you know what, maybe it's just not for you.
That right,
And
exactly.
I
It's just
think
not for you.
it's just not like yeah, it's not the
It's
whole
not
thing
made
is
for you. You
it's
don't
not
like it. It's
well,
that's fine.
I don't dislike it. It's just
Right,
not
sure.
like it's just not for me. It's for
Right.
usually it's really for women mostly.
Or gay men, or I know a lot of straight men who love. Tyler is a huge Taylor Swift fan, actually, like
Yeah.
independent from me. So like it, mostly it's women and gay men for sure. But like I think there is like more people should understand what you just understood. Like your friend should just understand it's not for me. It's not made for me. It's not the kind of stuff I would listen to on my own. I appreciate it. It's their thing. That's fine.
But I do think there is maybe less space for anybody to offer up a critique or a criticism of her in a public space than there maybe would be for others. Like I guess it's just that intensity of fandom. The fans are going to
It
push
depends
back.
on the criticism too, though, because like her fans have, for example, come out with like a whole bunch of petitions signed by like a million people or something crazy like that for a ceasefire in Gaza. They also came out with like an open letter, which was really stupid, like getting mad at her for dating Maddie Healy because he like said something kind of problematic on a podcast once or something.
I mean,
They push back against her pretty often, and she's like, most of the time, she's like, okay, fair, like that, you're right. And like I think that is part of why it's such an active fandom.
is she available to appear at the DNC? I thought she was playing Wembley Stadium. Like, that's
Well,
the
she
last I heard.
was. She is today. I think it could be her last show. I actually don't know. I don't know the Eras tour schedule. I haven't had it memorized yet, but I
Oh,
am working on it.
okay. Well, I mean, I just think it would be very cool if she showed up. I feel like, and the reason I say that is that I think like she, maybe even more than Beyonce, And I think, well, this is what I would say. I think Beyonce has huge cultural influence, obviously, and I think that a Beyonce endorsement would activate a lot of people and get people excited. But I feel like for Kamala's purposes, having a Taylor Swift endorsement activates younger girls maybe more than Beyonce might, and also activates like the white women because that's where Kamala's going to need like
Yeah,
white ladies like sort of I don't know. I want to say if I'm remembering the numbers properly,
they made
like
Trump win.
that's what I was going to say. It's white ladies who made Trump win in 2016 or something. And
The thing that makes me like a little bit like I question how much like a celebrity endorsement even does for a particular candidate, just in that like obviously like Taylor Swift telling people to register to vote led to a huge amount of people registering to vote. She's got, she's got influence for sure. But at this point, now that she's like come out as clearly a Democrat, she said that Donald Trump is a white supremacist. She had that whole documentary about it. I think that any conservatives in her fan base have sort of been weeded out. And I think that anybody who considers themselves like a huge Taylor Swift fan, like would be voting Democrat anyways. And so I don't know how much of a difference that kind of endorsement would make. I think that it would I think that it would lead to her fans voting how they would have voted anyways.
well, I'll say this: a,
And same with Beyonce, I guess.
I do think a Taylor Swift Beyonce combo endorsement would move some voters in a way that feels that is actually
Like, do you think it
significant.
would change a voter from Trump to Biden or from Trump to Harris?
Less that and more that it would just get them to at all. Like it would get them to register, vote for the first time. It would get them maybe if they were on the fence to come down and, it's like that sort of thing. I don't know how much she can convert anybody. I would also push back on your assertion that most hardcore Taylor Swift fans are Democrats anyway. I actually think people can compartmentalize this stuff. And I think Taylor
They
Swift has
can for sure.
because like Ann Coulter is a deadhead. Like there are so many libertarian deadheads and conservative deadheads who go drop acid at those
But
shows. And
Grateful Dead is kind of libertarian. Like their brand is a little libertarian.
I mean, I think there may be, yeah, there is some sort of like, don't tread on me. Like I want to
And
be
like
my own
Taylor
freak.
Swift at the Eras tour, her like second song is You Need to Calm Down, where she goes like, don't step on his gown. You need to calm down. And everybody is like pumping. It's like the whole audience is fucking jumping up and down, shaking. Like that's like the kind of thing where if you were a hardcore Trump conservative, like I don't think you would be interested. I think you would be like, fuck that.
Maybe. I still think there's a lot of like right wing Swifties out there who just like
There
ignore that.
probably are.
There's got to
I mean,
be.
there's probably like some, there's probably people who are like, I don't like her whole thing, but I appreciate her music or whatever. But I don't think they'll be moved. I think, like you said, they're able to compartmentalize and just be like, I like Taylor Swift, but I'm gonna not listen to anything else she says.
I think that she and Beyonce are probably the only people in the culture whose endorsements could potentially be meaningful mathematically.
If any pop star is capable of moving the needle, it's Taylor Swift for sure.
You wonder what Kamala's people are doing behind the scenes to cultivate that.
I just wish that Kamala would focus more on her job and less on pop star endorsements.
I don't
Like I
think
would like
she
to see a platform and not like a Beyonce endorsement.
I mean she issued her like first like slate of economic proposals last Friday, I believe.
The Democrats are saying that she's not going to release her platform until after the election.
After the election, I don't think that's true. I think she'll have to do more. I don't know if she I mean, the thing about it is that she's doing this on such a compressed time frame and she's
Yeah,
trying and it's kind of smart politics in a way that maybe is not in the public interest to not nail yourself to too many
I
specific things so that you
I
have
think
room
that's
to
what she's doing. It's
I
like
kind of
trying to
don't
project
blame her
your own
cuz
views onto her. It's a good strategy.
I mean it's that but it's also like if you sort of like fly your flag and say this is what I'm for and then it becomes politically untenable then it's like you failed to achieve that whereas if you keep your cards closer to the vest it gives you more room to maneuver. I don't know.
I don't
But
know. This is why I don't work in politics.
so
I don't let
Taylor
me.
so just as a verdict just to wrap this up Taylor Swift you think is not going to appear at the DNC in any form, not
I
like
no.
a video, nothing.
If she'll do anything, it'll be like a video, but I don't think she's going to do anything.
Interesting. I think she is. I don't know if it'll be at the
I think
convention, but
eventually she's going to tell people to vote. She might make those cookies that she made, like, you know, those Biden Harris cookies that she made before, like a couple days before the election or something. But
here's why I think she will is that I think the
the
power.
childless cat ladies thing.
Well, the childless cat lady. I mean, I told you, I think before we came on, I think the coolest thing she could do, I read this on Twitter, would be to show up at the DNC with just a guitar and like walk out on stage, dedicate the song to childless cat ladies,
Oh,
sing
that's
it,
embarrassing.
and just, that'd be
What
funny.
song would you sing? Can you like name what Taylor Swift song it would be?
I don't know what. Yeah, what would she? You know her oeuvre better than I do.
Yeah, this is
What
why
would
I'm
be,
asking you though.
okay, hang on. I mean, I'm like, calm down. I don't even know the names of her songs.
Like, okay, what's like name one?
What's the one that I like where it's
Shake It
like,
Off,
no, that's childish.
Style.
I like the one where she's talking about being in hell. There, she's laughing up at us from hell. It's me. I'm the
Oh, yeah, yeah,
problem.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
like that song.
Anti-Hero.
Antihero. Yeah, but I don't
But
think
she's
that's
not
gonna.
gonna sing that at the
No,
DNC.
it's got to be like a woman empowerment anthem. It's got to be something like powerful and upbeat.
The
That's what.
Man is it's the Man. That's the song. That's
Oh,
what you would sing. If I
yeah.
was a man, I'd be the man.
Oh, well, there you go.
See,
So
this is like your friend. If you asked him what song would she sing at the DNC, he'd be like, I don't know, Shake It Off. And dudes like that should just say, I don't like Taylor Swift. It's not for me, in my opinion.
or like I just don't know all of her songs.
Yeah,
Like I
or
wouldn't
that.
know. I don't know what the Grateful Dead would play at Kamala's coronation. I feel
Oh, it
like
would be like Marge's Rambling Road to Skull Highway or some shit like that.
what would it be?
Like the fish and the gemstones run down the desert of imagination or whatever the fuck.
I think yeah, maybe U.S. Blues they would play. That's the only like I'm blanking on what they would play. But
Yeah.
so you wanted to talk about Barron Trump before we?
Oh, this is so exciting. I mean, this is my. Have you heard anything about this?
No, I feel like a mixture of pity and
No, no, no.
fear
You
when
won't.
I
Be
think
fair. It's what you should feel.
but I feel like he never had a chance.
No, he didn't, but neither did Ted Bundy. So,
Is he
so
is he psychopath?
yes, in my opinion, yes. Everyone's been saying like, oh, he's autistic, he's nonverbal, like that's the issue. Like, no, my sister's autistic. I know what autism consists of. It's not this. So there's this guy on Twitter. He's a behavioral therapist who worked for in like many years ago worked for a family who went to the same school as Barron Trump. The kids did. And so they would hang out with Barron Trump all the time because Barron didn't have many friends. And as a behavioral specialist, he was like, let's involve the kid who's kind of fucked up and like bring him over here. So he's had a lot of experience with Barron Trump as a kid, had pictures of himself with all of these kids together. There's proof of it. So he's just decided to spill all the tea in a wild way. The first thing he said was that Barron slapped the shit out of his nanny in Central Park. And the next day, the nanny was fired. He
How
said,
old was he? How old was he when he did this?
like, I think like 11 or something like that.
All right.
10, maybe younger. And so, okay, that was the first thing he said. And then everyone was like, please, more. So he busts out this. Barron got caught killing animals. Barron tossed a desk, spat on people, hit people repeatedly. He tried to attack people with a knife multiple times. He was also accused of sexually touching someone at a sleepover that resulted in an investigation.
Jesus Christ. This
So
is like pure like this is like future serial killer behavior.
straight up. So like, and you know, again, everyone's like autistic. Autistic kids don't kill small animals. They just don't. That's not a thing. It's just not. And like, let's talk about what are the signs of someone becoming a serial killer real quick before I continue. Killing small animals, abuse from a parent, pyromania, and pissing the bed. Right? We know he's got 204. He's got an abusive parent and he kills animals, right? So
Yeah.
let's continue. Side note, he says that Melania always had a special drink at birthday parties and play dates in her special water bottle. She's a total alcoholic. Not
Dude,
surprising. I would
wouldn't
be
you
too.
be? I was
Yeah.
gonna say you're
I
living
would
with
have harder
Trump.
drugs. I'd be like a pillhead for sure.
Yeah. She's an
Um,
interesting she's such a, like, I mean, someone's gonna eventually write a good book about her.
God, I would love to do that.
What,
She seems like so fucking weird. What a
so
weird lady.
yeah, and yet, like, she continues to, like, she does show up when she needs to, like, at the,
She's
convention,
on a
she's
contract. She's got to be.
right? I mean, like, because she doesn't show up to anything else, and they clearly can't stand one another. I mean,
And
like,
it seems like her whole job based on these tweets is taking care of Baron. Like he's like she's just like with Baron, has to stay with Baron 100% of the time. Like that's it.
I think she has affection. I mean, she loves her son, would be my
Yeah,
guess, like,
no, I think she does.
but,
But
I feel
so
like Trump,
yeah.
I wanna say I've read that Trump's family history includes, like, a history of sociopathology or psychopathology. Like, he's had
Yeah, it's not
his
surprising.
ancestors were kind of like, notoriously bad, badly behaved in a way that is excessive or was excessive.
That makes a lot of sense. And I would bet there's like a cycle of abuse. I'll bet Fred abused Trump and Trump abused, Barron, like for sure. Um,
I think Donald Trump's mother was extremely chilly and, like, unaffectionate with him.
that really checks out. He is really not an affectionate man. He does not want to touch anybody ever for any reason.
Well, but he's also constantly seeking, like, validation and
Exactly.
adoration, that
Yeah,
seems like that there's, like, a mathematical sense to that, but
totally.
I feel like, Barron, I saw some video because Barron has been a
It gets
minor.
worse, by the way, like a lot
Uh,
worse.
okay, well, go on. What else do we need to know?
Like before, just I'm gonna stop you before you express any empathy because it might not look might
Right.
not be a good look in a minute.
Alright, yeah.
So he stayed at a school in New York City when Trump was in office in DC. I don't know if you remember, Melania was like in New York City basically with Barron. And the reason why he did that was because he, even when his father became president, could not get proper recommendations from any of the schools that he went to because he's so psychotic. And literally, no school in DC would take him because he was a danger to other students. So he had to finish out his school year in New York City, and that's why they were there. So, okay. This is- so at this school, he had a Christmas show. And in 2015, right before, when Trump was like running for president, he decided, oh, I should probably look like a good dad. I'm going to show up to a Christmas show for the first time. And this guy said, so at Barron's 2015 Christmas show, he didn't want his father there. So he attacked him. Everyone had to exit the auditorium to calm him down. Trump literally never showed up to school functions until 2015. He attacked him, and the entire auditorium had to like evacuate.
He physically attacked his father.
Basically attacked his father.
How old was he? With 2015, he would have been what? Like 12, 13?
Yeah, early teens, I think. Like wild. And then so he told his classmates that his parents were heading for a nasty divorce for years, which seems right. Okay, now remember the sociopathy, the serial killer things that I named? When Barron would get extremely mad, he would shit his pants so that people would stay away from him.
Oh my god.
So now we have killing small animals, abuse from a parent, and shitting and pissing in the wrong places. So 3 of 4. Okay. Okay, this is the fucking worst one. Okay, so the animals that Barron has killed. More details. Barron killed 2 birds, 3 rabbits, and a dog within 10 years.
How did he kill these animals? Like, with what weapons?
A knife? He seemed to have knives all the times because he attacked 2 kids on different occasions with a knife.
I know this kid is fucked up and, like, some of this is genetic, but I think so much of this is the environment that he's being raised in. I
Absolutely.
feel bad for him. I really do. Like,
I feel bad for him until he kills somebody. It's like I feel bad as a child when he's like because he's an adult now, he's 19 or something. As a child, yeah, sympathy. He deserves to be raised better. He deserves better than that. As far as I'm concerned, like little kids and babies are innocent. Always. They can't help it. But at this point, like he recorded himself killing the rabbit and showed it to kids at school. That's how we know
Jesus.
about it.
All
Like
right.
that's not autism. That's not normal. That's
He
fucking insane.
he needs, like, inpatient care.
Yes. Like 100% he does. Like, and I mean, like, he repeatedly touched inappropriately boys at sleepovers, even after there was a whole court case about it, an investigation.
What? Yeah, where does that come from? Like, do you think he's being abused physically?
Maybe,
Because
you
usually
know?
isn't that usually how it happens? Like you get like a kid gets abused and then they repeat the behavior of their abuser. That's like the
Otherwise,
cycle.
how is he learning that, you know? Like, unless he was maybe like an older teen and starting to have like feelings that he couldn't handle, like that feels like if he was younger, it's like a repeat of something he experienced.
Well, I saw there was some video like in from the Trump campaign where Barron was introduced like for the first time as an 18-year-old. So like he sort of had his coming out
Right.
and he was like on stage with his fist raised and it was like it just gave me a chill. I was like, "Oh my god, like this fucking family is going to haunt us for generations."
Oh my god. I mean, he's actively like, Barron. The reason why this guy tweeted all this out is because Barron is like actively campaigning for Trump now. They're like trying to get the young one out. Like, look, we're cool.
I've never heard him speak, and there was a picture there was a picture going around on social media of Barron and these other guys who were supposedly like the Trump campaign's Gen Z like outreach team or whatever. And literally it looks like the frat boys who are going to like sexually assault you. You know, that was kind of
Yeah.
like the joke
Right.
on Twitter. It was like these guys are just like
It's like pockets full of GHB. Like they're gonna like hate
yeah.
somebody to death at their fraternity. Like, absolutely.
It was like the most like, like central casting of like the worst bros you could possibly imagine just lined up and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to win the young vote for Trump." But
Jesus Christ Almighty. Maybe the fraternity vote. Although I don't know.
well, you just have I mean, like I said, with Donald Trump as your father, you've got a losing hand from birth. He's not a guy who's
Mhm.
capable of affection or sacrifice or anything
Or
like
parenting. I don't think he parented Barron at all.
yeah, and then
Mm.
Melania is obviously like a mess too, and you could only be a mess to be
Yeah.
her. Like I mean, she's more controlled.
It's Yeah, because she doesn't talk. She's just like, I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna drink and pop pills all day, which is again exactly what I would do.
I mean, I don't know. Like again, I'm sure there's writing about this that I haven't read, but like eventually the story is going to be told of whatever like NDA,
Yeah.
prenup, like whatever they had some sort of operating policy together.
She's got like, how like Princess Diana, Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor all like recorded with their like with close friends of theirs, like their entire life story told totally truthfully so that it could be released after they die. I think Melania's doing that for sure.
Well, let's hope. I want like her to spill the
I want to
beans.
hear it all. I
Yeah.
absolutely.
I always said at the height of the like Trump presidency, I remember predicting that eventually there was going to be like a 30-part Netflix documentary that fully unpacked it. Like that's what I want actually. I want there to be like a granular, fully comprehensive documentary film that's like and the reason I want it to be a documentary is that someone's going to write a book, but nobody reads books. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Lots of people read books, but not like the popular culture, not the wider culture. They're not going
And
to
if you make
invest.
it into a biopic, you're not going to get the info that you could get from a documentary.
It needs to be like the Martin Scorsese documentary about the Trump
Hmm.
years that is just like exhaustive but yet entertaining that, is
See, I want one that's just Melania. Like, yes, the Trump years for sure, but like, I want one that's like Melania focused. Like, what the fuck is her deal?
I think we're going to get it all. And
Yeah.
the reason why is because when you observe the Netflix library, like when you're scrolling and trying to find something to watch, you will notice, or at least if you're me, you will notice that there are literally like dozens of documentaries about Hitler and the Nazis.
Hmm.
That shit sells. Like
Unending.
clearly people watch, like they want that, especially guys like me want that like World War II, like
See, girls
content.
like true crime and boys like World War II. That's my theory.
I think there's some truth to that, but I think that like especially as time marches on, Trump dies and sort of like recedes into history. I think there is going to be an ongoing hunger among the public, both those who lived through it and those who did not, to try to understand what the fuck happened because
Yeah.
we've essentially been living through a mass psychosis, I think is my diagnosis of it in America. There's a
I don't think it's
huge
going away either. I think we're just going to get more and more mass psychosis in different ways.
I think that it's unsustainable. So it's like we're either going to slip into some sort of horrible epoch of darkness or like the fever is going to have to break in some kind of way. And I don't know what would occasion that at this point because
Yeah.
the fever breaking has been predicted so many times. It's like, oh yeah, the fever's going to break when Obama wins re-election or the fever's going to break, now that Biden has won. And like, I will say that right now, with Trump being old and getting boring, and there's something about his act that feels stale, and the energy around him feels like it's dissipated at least a little bit, that makes me like maybe more hopeful than I have been that there could be some sort of like, it could just exhaust itself. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
this, eventually people are going to go, oh, and then also like, I often have friends of mine who are like, Democrats suck at politics. Maybe I've made this like
they
argument on,
do.
they say this, but it's like in 2016, he lost to Hillary in the popular vote. I know that he quote unquote won, and you know, it's arguable what happened in that election, but he won the electoral college in
It's not
2016.
really arguable. He did win.
Yeah, but with like foreign help and like Jim Comey and all that shit, like there was a lot of
Yeah.
weirdness in that election.
We'll have that conversation here. We'll save that for text. But yeah,
But so anyway, he wins in 2016, but he loses the popular vote significantly. And then he goes on to lose the 2018 midterms. They get blown out. He loses the 2020 election. Biden beats him fairly handily. I know it's not by that many votes across the swing
barely.
states. Actually, not though. Like
Compared to polling, it was like really bad.
the 1960 election when Kennedy won, much closer. The George W. Bush Al Gore election, much closer. The Biden victory was actually similar to Obama's 2012 victory, which nobody really called close. So I mean, like election mathematics.
That's because Obama was like, it was like he kind of, people thought he didn't have a chance. It was like he really like went up in the polls, like really significantly. And like, or he got a lot more votes than the polls were predicting because they didn't think that he was like going to be as good of a candidate as he
well, I mean, I
was.
don't know. Re-election. I don't know. Obama won huge against McCain, and then I think,
Re-election, he won huge. Yeah.
well, no, the first election Obama won by like 7 or 8 points. I mean, he won gigantic, and he won like supermajority in the Senate and everything. But
Yeah.
against Romney in 2012, it was pretty neck and neck with Obama. Maybe like they kind of traded slight leads, and then he won. You know, I don't know. But the point is that you know, Trump wins in 2016, 2018, 2020, the midterms of 2022, all the special referenda that have taken place, kind of lost repeatedly.
I
So,
mean, I hate to say this to you, Brad, but I think America might be unsustainable. Trumpism is unsustainable, but I think the whole banana might be unsustainable.
we'll see. We'll see. You know,
Most empires die in 250 years, and America is 211 years old.
well, you know, it's one thing for an empire to die, like the British Empire receded, but like the UK, like Britain still exists. I think maybe America as like some,
America will still exist for sure.
yeah, it just might not exist in the form that we're accustomed to, like the
Yeah.
20th century, like, you know,
President Xi Jinping, I love you. Please be nice to me.
wait, what?
When the Chinese president takes over the United States, just tell him I've always been pro China
You
and
think
don't do
he's,
anything bad to me.
you think Xi Jinping is going to take over the United States?
No, but it would be funny if he did. It wouldn't be funny. That was a joke. That was a joke. Don't get mad at me.
All right. Well, what else is happening? And so, like, now that we've established that Barron Trump is, you know, got a dark
he's a,
future as a serial
he's,
killer.
yeah, exactly. He got a dark feature of like killing homeless people on the low.
Ugh.
Um,
Well, let's shift to celebrity news of a more traditional nature. What is happening out
mhm.
there?
So I saw this one almost right exactly when I woke up this morning, and it just made me laugh so hard. So it's a video of Alicia Silverstone, and if anybody who's listening is a young person, unlike Brad, who's geriatric, um,
I'm her
they
contemporary. Alicia Silverstone is my age.
exactly, exactly. So she starred in the movie Clueless,
Yes.
and is a actress and other things probably that also that I can't remember, but mainly she was in Clueless. There's a video of her that she posted that was her wandering the streets of London and coming upon a plant. And she was looking at it and she's like filming it. And she's like, it looks like tomatoes, but the plant isn't a tomato plant. Like it's got different leaves. So like, what is that about? And she like picks one. She's like, I don't know. Like she like steps on it and she's like, see, it kind of looks like a tomato. Then she takes a bite out of one. So she's picking up a random fruit from a random bush on the street in London and taking a bite out of it, which like even little kids should know you shouldn't do. And she takes a bite of it and she's like, kind of tastes like a pepper. Posted to TikTok. And then the TikTok comments are flooded with, girl, that is a deadly nightshade. That is a plant that kills you. That is a berry that you die from.
And
so, so, like, somebody I saw on Twitter, and I also looked it up, a bite that small can't kill you, but it can make you really fucking sick. So, like, she hasn't responded yet to anything, and, like, my theory is that she is incredibly sick from the bite of poisonous berry that she took for no reason.
like diarrhea sick, like just like
Yeah, like
gastric.
vomiting, diarrhea, like all that.
She was. I remember there was like a quote unquote scandal or some sort of like cultural moment when she was. I think she made a video about how she was chewing up food and then spitting the chewed up food into her baby's mouth like
Like a bird?
like a bird. Yeah, didn't she do that? She's very.
I think that's fine, actually. I thought about it for a second, and I think that's fine.
I think that's fucking disgusting.
I mean, it is disgusting, but like your baby has your antibodies. Your baby is breastfeeding from you. They can't hurt the baby to spit it up and chew it and put it in their mouth. It's
That's
fucking
a
gross as hell, but the baby doesn't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. The baby will know eventually somehow, but I feel
Yeah, but they
like
won't remember.
it's just like she's very new agey and very like of the earth. Like she's even
Yeah,
more crazy than I am with her health consciousness. Like
she probably eats her placenta.
she probably ate her placenta. Yeah, she's one of those people I feel like. And I just think like chewing up food and spitting it into another human being's mouth that's beyond the pale. We don't need to be
It's
doing that.
gross. I'm like disgusted by spit in general as a thing. Like when people like spit near me, I'm like, oh no no no, this isn't gonna work. Like I can't do that. Like it makes me want to throw up.
Does this explain your mild aversion to Hawk Tuah? Would be my question.
Interesting. Very interesting. See, I'm less afraid of spit when it comes to giving blowjobs. Then you
Okay.
kind of need it.
Okay.
So maybe that's why the Hawk Tuah girl doesn't scare me.
She gets a pass. She
She
gets a
gets a
pass.
pass.
But Alicia Silverstone, we don't know her condition. She could be dead. I mean, from eating
She
this
could be
berry.
dead. And if she's dead, I'm sorry that I laughed at her.
I feel, yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem. I feel like she's been very low profile in her adult
Yeah,
life. I don't
I
hear
like
about
her.
her. Yeah, I got no problem. You know what?
She's
I have to
good.
say, this is my moment to intervene and say that I have had a celebrity sighting of her.
Ah, we always have to name when we've had a celebrity sighting of someone.
Yeah,
That's
if
part
we're
of the show.
talking, that's part of the show. If we're talking about a celebrity and we have seen that celebrity in the wild, we have to describe the sighting. And I
Yeah.
was at my old my juice place. Of course, this is where I saw
That
her.
place still there?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
the Beverly Hills Juice Club, I think is what it's called on
Place
Beverly
rules.
in West Hollywood, and the best like juice, like the Banana Mana shakes are legend. I
It's
would
like
have
been
one.
around since like Source Family era of like health food.
Yeah,
Like
we've talked about it before because I think I
yeah.
saw Daniel Craig there too, but I saw Alicia Silverstone there getting juice one time.
Wow, real celeb spot.
It is. I mean, it's like, for the people who know. So I hope she's okay. I think like the message to our listeners is like, if you see a bush and it's got fruit on it and you don't know what it is, maybe don't eat it.
Or even if you do know what it is, maybe take it home and wash it before you eat it.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about that. If it's like a tomato plant and you want to just like pop one off and eat it, I think it's fine. But
It's one thing if it's in a garden, but it's like another thing if it's like street facing, like and it's getting like street grime on it. Like I don't love that.
people are peeing on it. Who knows what's
Yeah,
happening?
dogs may be peeing on it. You just don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. Listen, if it's street facing,
Yeah.
it's probably not going to be like garden worthy, or you know what I'm saying? Like, unless
Yeah,
it's
you
like a
probably just don't want to eat it anyways.
no.
But if like your neighbor has a lemon tree, like fine. But like besides that, no.
Well, what else is happening out there?
Let's see. What else is happening? Ah, well, this is one that you said to me. You said, "Who's Jeremey Madix?"
Oh,
And I
right.
said, "Don't worry, Brad. I know exactly who that is, and I will explain it to you."
Yeah. Who is Jeremey Madix?
So the story, and I'm trying to open it. Here we go. So the headline is Jeremey Madix arrested for trying to fly with absurd amount of marijuana. And when they say absurd, like truly absurd, he tried to get, and I will explain who he is in a moment, but he tried to get on a commercial flight with 100 pounds of marijuana. So,
Oh,
like, he sent some to get checked, and then he came onto the plane with like multiple suitcases just fucking packed full of weed,
all right.
thinking
So,
he would get away with it.
okay. So here's the question: why is he fought? Who needs 100 pounds of weed?
Well, a dealer would.
Is
Somebody
that
who's
what?
selling weed.
Is that what he is? He's a weed dealer.
I mean, I have to assume so. I don't think 100 pounds is for like, personal use
I
exactly.
know, but why is he a celebrity? I don't even know who this guy is.
Okay, so explaining who Jeremey Madix is. Jeremey Madix is the brother of a one of the main cast members of the TV show Vanderpump Rules. She was his sister Ariana is now wildly successful because she was like the one who was cheated on during what's called
Okay.
Scandival, which made Vanderpump Rules huge. Um, Recently, stories have come out about Jeremey Madix and Ariana's relationship. He said that basically Ariana hasn't talked to him for months. And the reason that people are thinking is because her
All right.
brother remained friends with the guy who cheated on her. Um, so this is coming on the tail end of like stories about how there's some issue between the two of them, and it was like a whole thing. Um, he's like, I haven't heard from my sister in months, blah, blah, blah. Didn't hear anything about it. I guess there were some stories that she didn't get along with his fiance or something. I don't know. And then suddenly he's arrested for 100 pounds of weed
100 pounds. That's the thing I can't get past. It's like who puts? I get like you've got like a quarter pound.
on a commercial flight. How do you think that's gonna like what?
I mean, honestly, I don't know what airport security is for check on luggage. Or like they must be X-raying and they saw it, and that would be, or they some dog smelled it. But like, I feel like you can fly with weed pretty safely,
Oh yeah,
like most places.
I've done it a million times. I've flown with like 2 ounces and it was fine.
Yeah,
But like over a pound is pushing
yeah.
it.
Well, and I think also legally, I guess, but in Florida, I don't think weed is legal. So that's the thing too. You're flying out of Orlando with 100 pounds of.
It's a fucking felony to have that much weed in Florida. It's got to be,
Ugh,
or like at least a misdemeanor. It's like a hugely bad thing. And he was trying to fly to Germany with it, which means he was trying to take it like out of the country,
I don't know what.
which also seems really
Yeah, I don't know
bad.
what Germany's weed laws are, but I can't think of anything more. Uh,
I mean, you're not allowed to take weed on a plane going somewhere else, literally, because you fly over states where weed is not legal. So that alone is not allowed.
Nothing more infuriating to me than the fact that people can go to jail or be hassled by the law for weed. That's the
Mm-hmm.
dumbest shit.
Yeah, don't look at Kamala Harris's record about that.
I mean, it was a different time, like I remember
No,
being
it
in
wasn't.
college and like, I mean, God, I was terrified of getting caught with weed by cops. You have to realize the milieu that I grew up in the Midwest, where cops were like the Gestapo and they came after teenagers because they had nothing better to do in the suburbs. And like,
Oh, they did that here too.
but I promise you, it was not like these hillbilly cops that I grew up with who, would happily like grab you by the ear and like send you through the legal system for having like a joint in your pocket. And it's ridiculous.
I knew kids who went to jail for like having a joint in their pocket and being out past 10. Like, I mean, probably not. It's probably way different than the Midwest because like it's much easier probably to find high concentrations of kids just hanging out in places. But cops, really, I've had a lot of really bad interactions. I've been in handcuffs like 4 times for things that really weren't a big deal because cops just like enjoy dealing with like young teenagers who are not a threat to them, I
Yeah, well,
think,
it's easy.
as opposed to like somebody who's violent.
So this guy, Jeremy Madix, who's like semi-related to the Vanderpump Empire, is now what?
He's in the show a little bit because he worked at the restaurant too,
And
but like not to a huge
he's
degree.
going to go to prison? I'm sure he'll lawyer up and get out of this, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, like I don't know. Like I don't think he's in jail now. I think that yeah, he was initially held without bail, but then a judge set bail at $80,000 and he's been released since. So $80,000 bail is like no joke. That seems like he's gonna have some serious shit.
Orlando. Like, why are you there in the first place?
That's where he's
Oh,
from.
it is okay.
They're from Florida.
100 pounds of weed to Germany. I still it doesn't make sense to me. Like, what? Like, you're going to go to Germany and just try to make money selling weed?
I mean, I guess like, I have a friend who lives in Germany. Weed I don't think is legal because she buys from a dealer. So I guess maybe like I mean, it is true that people want to fly in weed like from the states, from like California, because we really do have like the strongest weed that exists. And so if you could sell that in Germany, you could like really up the prices and make a lot of money. But he was so stupid that he did it on a commercial flight. So like I don't know how good of a businessman he really
Well, what else is he
is.
going to do? Like, get a private jet?
Like not do that, like put it in little by little, or get a couple of different people to bring it, or like literally anything besides just bringing 100 pounds of weed in your
Yeah, that's a
suitcase.
lot of fucking weed. Like, that's a lot. Like 100 pounds.
It's a lot
What is it? A quarter?
because it's not.
I'm trying to think of how
If you
many
think about how
bags.
much weed, like okay, an ounce is 28 grams, and
A quarter ounce is what?
I don't know
8
how much.
grams? 7 grams.
7.5.
7.5. So 7.5.
No, 7.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
7 grams is a quarter ounce.
Uh, an ounce is 28.
And how many ounces are there in a pound? It's like 16 ounces? I can't remember.
That I don't know. Let's see. How many ounces are in
Yeah,
a pound?
asks.
I know all the weed measurements from working in a weed store, but I don't. No one's ever bought a
I'm
pound.
just trying to get, like, my head wrapped around how much. Like, for most people, when they buy a bag of weed.
There's 16 ounces
Oh,
in a
I was right.
pound.
Okay.
So an ounce, I would say, if you're getting really good weed, you would be lucky. Well, if you're buying in bulk, maybe 200, maybe 150. If you're like really getting a good price on it
But most people, when they
per
buy, like,
ounce.
a bag of weed, they buy a quarter ounce.
Um, it would like an eighth
An
or a
eighth or a
quarter.
quarter, yeah,
Yeah,
like 50 bucks. When I was in college, it was
yeah.
like 50 bucks for an eighth, $100 for a quarter. That's how we used to be.
$50 for an eighth
Back in the day, yeah, it was.
back then.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Brad. You were getting robbed.
I mean, probably. But,
You were getting robbed blind. My family's from Venice Beach. That is not correct.
well, I mean, on college campuses, kids, yeah, it's like people getting taken advantage of. But I had friends
Yeah,
who would just buy it in bulk and deal it, and you'd get free weed. I mean, it wasn't like I was buying a ton of weed, but
yeah. I mean, like if I'm like smoking and I want to buy weed, sometimes I'll buy a whole ounce just because it's cheaper. And if I'm gonna smoke it anyways over like a long period of time, like buying that much is cheaper than buying it like eighth by eighth. But an ounce is like a lot for me. Like even for like I smoke a lot of weed. And buying an ounce at a time, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of weed.
okay. So let's just
And
let's
like if
just
you think about how much weed takes a pound,
okay. But like
like just
yeah, I
physically,
want to do the math on this just so we can get.
it's 16 ounces is a pound. And so it's 16 ounces in a pound. What's 16 times 100? It's 1,600.
Yeah, okay. So if you're buying a quarter of an ounce.
So 1,600 ounces.
Wait, let me just let me
And an
let me
ounce.
let me do this. Let me do this. If you're buying a quarter ounce and there's 16
I
ounces
did
in
the
a
math. I know what it
there's
is.
16 ounces in a pound. 16 times 4 would be
Let it be known I did the math faster than
hang
Brad.
on. No, but 64 times 2 is 100.
Wait, we're getting 64.
Well, because if there's 16 ounces in a pound and there's 4 quarter ounces, that would be 4 times 16 would be 64 baggies, quarters in a pound times
What the
100.
fuck kind of math are you doing?
Hang on.
I was going by ounces, which is a lot less
I'm just
hard.
saying I think there would be 6,400 quarter ounce baggies in 100 pounds of weed. So that's a
Well,
lot. That's like 6,400 people could each buy a quarter ounce of weed from this dude if he flew over to Germany with it.
so if it's divided by 4, it's 400 quarter bags.
In what, 100 pounds of weed?
Yeah, because it's 16 ounces in a pound. So if it's 16 ounces times 100
This
pounds,
is going to be
that's
this is the
1,600,
most
right?
pathetic like public display of math skills.
And then if you divide it by 16 ounces in a pound,
And each
4.
ounce has 4. So 16 ounces times 4 is 64 quarter bags
This is so
per
funny. 16 times
is
4,
64
that'd be
64 quarter bags per pound. And 100 pounds, so 100 pounds times 64 is 6,400 quarter bags in 100 pounds of weed. That's what I think.
I'm going to believe
Yeah.
you. It's because 6,400 pounds.
And if you times it by 2, that would be 12,800 eighths in 100 pounds of weed. That's a fuckload of weed is the point. It's a lot of marijuana.
I just looked up like how much I just did the math for how much money it was worth, and it's $240,000 on the low end.
Wow. So I don't know what that comes out to. If it's like $240,000 divided,
Like that's buying in bulk on the low
hang
end.
on, that would be $37.50 of per
Well,
quarter. So that would be like cheaper than I got it in my college
okay.
days.
So I did like 150 per ounce, which is really low. And then if we divide that by 8, it'd be 1875 an
All
eighth.
right.
And he'll definitely charge like 30.
Do you think he's going to go to jail?
Um, no, I think he's gonna be able to pay his way
Yeah,
out.
I do too. I hope so. I don't want this guy
Yeah.
to go to jail for that, but he is like,
No, he always seemed like a nice guy in the show. He just seemed like kind of a stoner, like dude. He prevented his biggest moment in the show is that he prevented one of the restaurants from burning down.
oh, see, look at him. He's a good
He
Samaritan.
stopped an electrical fire, so he's a good Samaritan.
All right, what else is happening in celebrity strata?
Oh God. Okay, let's do this one fast because it's gonna make me throw up.
Okay, that's a good intro.
So Sexyy Red, is a rapper.
All right.
I had to look up who she was today to kind of understand. She became famous from doing from having a spot on a Nicki Minaj song, I guess, and has kind of developed her own brand of like very sexual, explicit rap music. She has like iconic glasses that she always wears. I don't know. So she launched a line of lip gloss that is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life and makes me want to kill myself. And to be clear, I'm not even someone who thinks moist is a bad word. That sucks. I'm not someone who's afraid of vaginas. I've had my face in them before. It's fine. So, but this is just unacceptable. So, the names of these different colors of lip gloss that she's come out with are as follows: Coochie Juice, Booty Hole Brown,
Okay.
Nut,
All right.
Pussy Hole Pink, Yellow Discharge. That's my least favorite
My
one.
God.
Gonorrhea, Blue Balls, and Sex on My Period.
And these are lip gloss products?
These are lip gloss colors. So, like, I don't know if you like when you buy a lip gloss, the colors will have different names, and that's what she's named the colors.
Okay, so this is obviously gross, but it also just makes me sad because this is clearly somebody who believes that the only way to cut through in this noisy culture of ours is to be. I mean, look, we're talking about it, right? So I still.
Well, the one thing I would say is I don't think that she thinks that it's the only way to cut through the culture, but it is a way of doing it.
Who's going to buy yellow discharge lip gloss? Are people going to buy this?
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the fucking popcorn buckets that movies have been making to make it look like a dick or like a fucking fleshlight? Everyone's buying it.
Wait,
The
what?
Dune-ussy, the fucking I can't. This is you really don't know pop culture. When Dune came out, they had a popcorn bucket that looked like you could fuck it. It just looked like you could fuck it. It was like the. Do you know what the worm from Dune looks like?
I haven't seen it.
It's just, I mean, it's a worm, dick shaped worm, and it has like a mouth with like little teeth like this. And they made a popcorn bucket that was like that, where you put your hand in the mouth with the little teeth like this, and you eat the popcorn.
Like
But then you see it, you're
like
just like,
wait,
oh, this is
the
special.
okay, but the movie theaters made this or the Dune people made this?
Yes. Well, Dune made it and gave it to movie theaters to hand out popcorn in.
And people started to like become sexual with this item.
Yeah. And now they're making more popcorn buckets specifically like this. Like they made one of Wolverine with like his mouth open and then did like an advertisement where like butter was like dripping down his mouth like cum.
So JD Vance.
This is like where society is.
Yeah, JD Vance is fucking these buckets probably at home or whatever, right?
I mean, I don't think his dick is big enough. They're pretty wide, but like, yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's disgusting. I don't know who Sexyy Red is, but I think like this whole product
I
line is
think it's
crushed.
horrific and disgusting. At the same time, I find myself questioning myself because I support women who are willing to go out there and be gross the same way that men are. Like wet ass pussy, I was like, yes, there needs to be more songs like that because we've had too many songs that are like, my dick is hard, and everyone's like, all right, that's fine.
Right.
But this is really gross, and I'm struggling with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a line. I don't know exactly where it is, but this seems to be on the side of the line where I'm just like, yeah, there's nothing redeeming
Like,
about this. It's not
yeah,
funny. It's not funny. Like yellow discharge lip gloss. Like,
it's a little funny.
I mean, yeah, it's a little bit. If you're
That's
like,
the one thing I'll say. It's a little funny.
if you're a 12-year-old boy, it's a little funny. I feel like it's that
It's a
level.
little funny to me. Like, he is a little funny to you, too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to buy any. It's just
No. Do you wear lip gloss?
No, I wear Burt's Bees lip balm.
Same.
That's about the extent of my lip.
If I wear
product.
lip gloss, it just looks like I've been eating like pork.
Yeah, I don't get. I don't know. I don't need lip gloss, but I will not
You
be
might.
buying any of Sexyy Red's products anytime soon, would be my guess.
Send us listener feedback. Should I do an episode where I give Brad a full face of makeup? Let us know.
So I think it's time for Brad Learns.
Ooh, Brad learns.
It's where I learn about stuff that I
You
don't
can imagine there's
understand.
text right here. Brad learns.
I think the question that I posed to you this week is, who is Anna Delvey? There's some story about her. I don't even know who this is. And you said that you would
This is a
explain it.
many years old story. This is like something that came out like how many years ago even? I don't even know, many years ago. And it was like a big thing at the time. I think like The Cut had like a whole like investigative thing about it. So basically, did you really not hear about this like at all?
Well, tell me about it. Maybe I did.
So Anna Delvey was a socialite in New York. So she came to New York. What she told people was that she was an heiress from Germany. So she appeared extremely wealthy. She like lived in hotels, only had like designer clothes, ate at the fanciest restaurants. She would like, hand people at the hotels, $100 bills as a tip all the time. Just had like everything about her made her appear like she was an heiress from Europe who was coming to New York to see what the art world was like specifically. So I'm sorry if you can hear my dog drinking water, by the way. So she goes to New York. She meshes herself with like the high society in New York, old money people who are, I mean, some people who are like cool and famous, but like largely like socialites, like people who you don't really see on TMZ, people who are just rich. And she would do things like, for example, once she went out to a dinner with a bunch of people, a really expensive dinner, ordered like the most expensive bottle of wine and all of this stuff, kind of in a way where it was assumed that like she would maybe pay for it. And then at the end of the dinner, she turns to the guy next to her, who's like some rich billionaire, and is like, "You can handle this, right? Like, I forgot my credit card at home. My bad. Like, I'll pay you back." And like, she would do this to a lot of people all the time. And it would almost always work. It would always work. I, because I think she was basically going to rich people and saying, "I'm calling your bluff. Like, oh, can you not afford this? Are you too poor to afford this meal? Like, oh, that's awful for you." And using that as a way to get these people to just pay for things. And it got to a point where she was meeting with people, I want to say from the Park Avenue Armory, and telling them that she wanted to build and create this massive business, this massive building, all of this that would be sort of a mixture between like an art gallery and Soho House. If you don't know what Soho House is, I think you do, but for people who don't, it's like a members only like very fancy club where you can like eat and drink and like you're not allowed to take photos of anyone, so celebrities can feel comfortable there. So she wanted to combine that with like art sales basically. Then this article comes out in The Cut, and nobody really knew who she was at the time because she was really just like with old money, not with celebrities. And it is revealed that she has $0. Her name is not Anna Delvey, and she has been faking it this entire time. She owes thousands and thousands of dollars to every hotel that she stayed at. She's stolen like thousands and thousands from just various rich people who were too ashamed to say that they were stolen from. She like owes this company who was trying to help her with their fake business millions of dollars. Like just an incredibly successful fraudster. Like just went into New York society with $0 and convinced everyone that she was a German heiress when she 100% was not, came from nothing, no money. And she just fucking fooled the entire
Does
world.
she
She
speak? She
comes
must speak
from,
German.
yeah, well, no, she's Russian. She said she was German, but she's Russian. She immigrated to Germany at some point in her life, so she can't speak German.
Okay, yeah. Well,
But
at
like
least
her accent is Russian. And people were just like, "Oh, German. Yeah, for sure. That's fine."
okay. So she's a con artist, but like, what's going on with her now? Because she's in the news, right?
So like yeah, so like she basically like she was caught faking a bunch of financial documents to substantiate that she had like a bunch of money in a trust fund, etc. And eventually those were found and like the hotels were like, what the fuck? And so she was arrested in 2017 and sent to Rikers. But she had like a whole trial. She had a stylist for the trial. It was highly publicized. It was a whole thing. Obviously, she was found guilty because it's just like clear as day. But she was fucking stylish in the courtroom. She's kind of iconic. I kind of love her. She's kind of
Is she
the thing
attractive?
about
Is
her
she
is that
attractive? I don't even know
yeah,
what
she's cute. She's like not like beautiful. She's not like insanely hot, but like she's like like as attractive as like an old money person could be, kind of like it kind of like she's like attractive in a way where it would make sense that she's old money and not like a TMZ style socialite.
All right.
Um, like, but she's cute. She's really cute. And she was, yeah, so she was sent to Rikers on, I'm saying, charges of grand larceny, theft of services, and faking documents. She was arrested in like a sting operation, I guess. NYPD had been like watching her for a while, and couldn't get her. So she was sent to Rikers. I believe she's been there ever since. And the reason why she's in the news now is that she filed a suit or something to get control of her social media back because she wanted to be able to tell her own story. And while she's in prison, she believed that other people were able to tell her story. And so the judge granted her the ability to go back on social media, which is huge for all the Anna Delvey heads out there, such as myself, because we're hearing from her for the first time since 2017.
What is she saying? Like, hey, I'm in prison.
I haven't seen anything yet. I don't know if she's posted yet. They might have not given her phone yet, but like she's going to.
I mean,
And I was seeing that she's been making art in prison and selling it also.
I mean,
Like bad art.
there's only so much you can say once your grift has been revealed. I mean, unless she's just totally got no conscience at all and she just wants to keep
I
trying.
don't think I think she's like really psychotic. Like I think she will leave prison and continue acting the same way that she's been acting like a rich person.
This reminds me, I've read similar stories like this. There was a story in the New Yorker just recently about a guy in Hollywood who ran like the biggest grift in Hollywood history and was taking money from like he was creating all these fake documents and telling people that he had all these deals with studios and getting investors on board and running I think what was essentially a pyramid scheme. And then it just escalates, right? You start with one lie and then there's got to be another lie to cover up that lie. And then you start taking,
Exactly.
and it just gets out of hand. And like that part of it, I think is pretty easy to comprehend. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's just about money and hustling people. But the part of it that I don't get is what it is in these people that A, makes them want and need to do this. And then B, what performative skill do you have to have? And like what kind of
That's the
sociopath
thing I
gene?
think of a lot. Is like these people act so well that I feel like
Yes.
they must convince themselves that their lies are true in order to be able to do that.
It's
Like I
an
think Anna Delvey on some level convinced herself that she was rich, and that's how she was able to fake it so well.
it's extraordinary as a performance.
Like I mean, she was actually really smart in her grift, I think, because like the way that she did it was by, like I was saying, like just calling the bluff of rich people, basically being like, can you pay for this? I'll of course give you back. Why wouldn't you pay for it? Are you not actually as rich as you say you are? Like, what? A rich person would deal with this, no problem. And they all took the bait. Nobody was like, what the fuck is your deal? I'm not going to pay this. Everybody was like, all right, I'll pay it, whatever. And then got embarrassed and didn't say anything. So I think that like grifting rich people in that way is really fucking smart because you put them in a shame spiral, basically, where they can't be like going to the cops for, a $4,000 dinner or whatever, because then they'll seem poor. And so, like, that was good. And then also, what she did was she tipped incredibly generously to any low level employees. So, like, every hotel that she went to, anybody who did anything for her got a $100 bill. So the employees fucking loved her. They were just like, she's great, no problem. We'll do anything for her. She's fantastic. And so, like, the low level people who might even have been able to, like, see that she was doing a scam were not motivated to say anything about it because they're
Uh,
getting money from her.
where was she getting the money? Was she like grifting off people? And
Yeah, grifting off people, I think. Just straight up grifting, like making up documents, taking people's money, stealing their credit cards, like all kinds of wild shit. Like there's like a story of her like using someone's credit card to like buy herself tickets to like Greece and then like disappeared and then use someone else's credit card to get the tickets back here. Like just like wild amounts of money.
And just to have no, like, I'm amazed by people who can operate in the world with that level of, or that like kind of sense of like impunity, just no conscience,
Yeah,
no sense
it's
of like I owe, no sense of decency or no guilt, like no guilt that like would, like if I did something like that, I would collapse like almost instantly.
I would feel scared. Like, even if I didn't feel guilty for taking that money from someone who was rich and doesn't make a difference, like, I would feel constantly, like, stressed and afraid that I was gonna get caught.
Yeah,
Not like I wouldn't be able to have a good time.
right. Like just to misrepresent yourself and to like, get into these social situations where you
Right.
have to maintain these airs in a fluid environment. Like that's what's
But I guess that's part of the appeal is that they wanna maintain those airs, right?
I mean, yeah, and it's kind of a rush, I would guess. I guess you get used
Yeah.
to it, but it would just be so easy to get caught and like the fear of that, like to be able to manage that fear and that danger and to be successful at it is kind of
It's
impressive in a,
wild
it's yeah, it's impressive in a weird way and
in a
twisted,
scary way, yeah.
but it's also maybe one of those things where like if you have the cojones and the ability to do that, like if you're really brazen like that, maybe
Mhm.
that's the key ingredient. You just have to be like, if you're crazy enough to do that,
100% it is.
the people who are around you who are getting grifted are like, "There's no way that this," like,
E
they convince
Yeah,
themselves that,
exactly.
"Yeah, how could this woman possibly be this brazen?" And it's like, "Yeah, she is."
Yeah, that's what she did. It's like she used the principle of, like, if you lie big enough, people are not gonna suspect you. If you lie small, people might be like, "Well, she might not be telling the truth." But if you lie big enough, they're gonna be like, "It would be wild for that to not be true. Who would lie about that?" And Anna Delvey just used that over and over and over and over again. And people were just like, "Okay, yeah, that's true.
Is
Like, I
there
believe her."
is there a documentary on this that I can watch?
Mhm.
There
There's
is.
plenty.
There
Yeah.
are multiple.
There's several, I think, yeah.
Alright.
And there's like a Netflix, like a fictional Netflix show, like a biopic show, but it's really, really bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wanna watch the documentary, but I think the
I'm kind of
lesson,
pro Anna Delvey. I think it's kind of funny that she like scammed all those rich people out of that money and they just like couldn't do anything about it because they were too scared.
I think that's the allure of this kinda story.
Hmm.
There was another guy who pretended to be a Rockefeller back in the day.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that. I feel
Remember
like I
that?
read about that.
Yeah, he was like there's like a, it's like a type of con artist who goes
Yeah,
into these, like, rarefied, sort of like old money zones and is an imposter,
I'm
and
pro that kind of scammer. Like, don't scam normal people, don't scam old people, don't do any of that shit. But if you're gonna like enter old money society and just scam the shit out of all those people, like that's kind of funny.
it is, but I bet if these people find out they've been had and then, like, the other shoe drops, I can only imagine what the blowback must be,
Oh my god, so bad.
right? They'll come after you, these people, I would bet.
Yeah. Anna Delvey's going to be in jail like for most of her life, probably.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to watch the documentary. I think the lesson for listeners is that if you're going to run a grift, like lie as huge as you possibly can, like go big
Yeah,
or go
yeah,
home.
lie big. Don't lie small, lie big. I mean, don't back down, double down. That's what you got to do. Don't back down, double down.
All right, Mira. Well, it's good to talk to you. What do you have going on the rest of the week? Anything that we need to know about? Is there anything in your
Um,
life that's exciting, or is it?
Anything in my life that's exciting? Let's see. Well, would you guys like to see my dog?
Look at that dog.
Hmm.
Like,
Hello.
it doesn't even seem like a dog. It seems like some other species.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Um,
But besides that, I'm pretty much just gonna knit in bed,
all right.
watch reality TV.
Until next week.
Until next week, yeah.
We'll take notes. It'll be exciting to catch up with you in a week, and it's good to see you as always.
Good to see you too. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.